In this video I'm going to be comparing a Nelson Premier Collection New King James Thin Line with a Schuyler. This is I think a second edition 36 GSM paper, but it is a Schuyler New King James version. This Nelson has black goat skin and the Schuyler has green goat skin. So these are both very high quality Bibles, but I wanted to do a comparison of the Schuyler with the Premier Collection because people will sometimes ask, pretty often actually, how do Premier Collection Bibles compare to Schuyler? And even there's a new Holman Premium Bible, Holman CSB Premium Bible that's coming out in verse-by-verse format. So it's going to have goat skin, and from the looks of it, it looks great. So it's going to be a lot like the Premier Collection, and people are asking, how does it compare to Schuyler? And the answer, actually I saw Kevin Grady when he did his video on the CSB Premium Bible. He said it's really nice, but it's not a Schuyler. And I know Bo Tate is another Bible reviewer who's talked about this too with the Premium or the Premier Collection from Nelson. Really nice Bibles, but he says it's not a Schuyler. Now that's not a put down, it's just to say that when you're talking about the Nelson Premier Collection or Zondervan Premier Collection or Holman Premium Bibles, and then you compare it to Schuyler, you're really talking about a different level. And I thought it would be helpful to actually really look at that in a little bit more detail to show people the difference. And then I'd like to just give some commentary about both kinds of Bibles and what that means for us as those who read the Bible and use the Bible. So let's talk about the Premier Collection first. And what I want to say about these Nelson Premiers, they come in a really nice box. You can see here for the New King James Premier Collection. Beautifully done box. They are wrapped in paper when you get them. Black paper, looks really elegant. So you're going to get a really good quality Bible in the Premier Collection. And not only is it going to be a beautiful, good quality Bible, it's going to be at a great price. And it's not just about how it looks. I mean, it is about how durable it is, how long it lasts. So that's why goatskin covers like this are so nice. And so you can see here, this first edition Premier Collection has stamping on the spine. And it's really quite well made. And one of the nice things about a good quality Bible, you're going to have not only a leather cover, but a leather liner on the inside here. And then this is an edge line construction. So that is really going to reinforce the spine of the Bible and hold it together over a long period of time. This one, this first edition, is really well made. They have come out with a second edition in brown goatskin in the Nelson Premier Collection, and I would say it's probably even a step up from that. So again, it's not just about looks, it's also about the quality of materials. And this cover is also goat skin, but it's brown, has more of a pronounced grain to it, but again, a leather liner and edge lined for reinforcement. This one even has overcast stitching. I think you can see that. So the normal Smith sewn binding is really strong to begin with, and then they reinforce it with some more stitching. And that's, I believe, in the front and the back that they do that, and that just adds even more reinforcement. So these Premier Collections by Nelson are really well made. Zondervan, same thing, and Holman also. These are really well made Bibles, so they're definitely higher quality even than a genuine leather Bible. If you get a genuine leather, that's good, but these Premier Collection Bibles, premium Bibles, are really well made. And of course they have a beauty to them with their gilding on the side. With both of these you have beautiful gilding. This is red, a little bit under gold. and then you have a gilt line, you have beautiful ribbons, and with Premier Collection Bibles you're usually you're going to get things like that. You're going to get that really nice, beautiful, detailed work, as well as really durable materials. But in talking about these Premier Collection Bibles, it's worth looking at Schuyler and talking about Schuyler's place in the Bible scene. And one of the things to point out is that Schuyler, which you can get these Bibles from evangelicalbible.com, has really set the bar that others have followed when it comes to premium Bibles. Now, they're not the first. Cambridge for years has had beautiful Bibles. Allen Bibles in the UK are fantastic. But Schuyler has really enhanced the Bible market, the premium Bible market. And when you look at the inside here of this Schuyler and you see the layout, and then you compare that with the premium collection, what you notice really is that there's actually quite a bit of similarity. So there are chapter numbers that are in red, and you see that on the Nelson. You have references at the bottom of the Schuyler, and you see that also in the Nelson. Now, the Schuyler is a little different. The footnotes are actually in a separate spot, whereas in the Nelson, the footnotes and the references are all together. But the point I'm making is that the layout of the Schuyler has really influenced the design of the Premier Collection from what I can see. Now, I don't know why that is exactly. I'm sure there's various factors, but what I'm saying is when you look at the overall design of the Schuyler, you can see that it has influenced other Bible producers. And so the Schuyler really is a trailblazer and really sets the bar for other Bibles. So that's something to keep in mind. I also want to point out what makes the Schuyler so good. Let's just look at this a little bit more. First of all, Schuyler has the best materials. I mean, this goat skin here is just top of the line, really strong and beautiful with a nice grain. The liner on the inside here, really nice. And even though this is the heavier paper, 36 GSM, than their newest editions, here's a PSQ newer edition with 28 GSM paper. This is still really, really solid, and you can tell it's just going to hold up over time. And I would say when you compare it to the Premier Collection, the cover on this one is a bit better than the Premier Collection. Now, the Premier Collection has stepped it up in the second edition. It's really nice, but the goat skin on this is really fantastic. You can tell it's just really good materials. The paper on the Schuyler, and this is something people often overlook. You know, they think that what makes a Bible so great is the cover, but actually I would argue the paper is a key point in a premium high quality Bible, because to get really good paper, it's expensive. And so this is pretty thin paper, and yet it has heft to it, and it is opaque. And even their newer ones, which are lighter paper, 28 GSM, still really opaque. And this is printed in the Netherlands. Both of these are from Schuyler. The Nelson Premier Collection is printed in China. The paper is actually quite good and opaque, but I would say the paper quality in the Schuyler, being printed in the Netherlands and the type of paper they're using, is just a step up. It's even better. And then, of course, things like even the ribbons on the Schuyler's, they are beautiful, but they're Beresford ribbons, and both Schuyler's here have these really nice ribbons. So with the Premier Collection Bibles, you are going to get nice ribbons. They look great, but I would say when I feel them, I can tell that the Schuyler ribbons are a little bit thicker and a little higher quality than what I'm seeing here in this Nelson Premier Collection. So it's kind of like having two articles of clothing, and they both look great, but you can tell that the clothing that is a better brand, does cost more, is actually made with better quality material, and therefore is just that much better. Even though both may look the same, the more expensive one is just has a better quality to it, and that's what I see in the Schuyler here. It is the best materials, and then along with that is the construction. It has the highest quality construction to it that I can tell. It just seems like this Bible is going to last a very long time. Everything about it, it's just so strong, so well made, excellent build quality. I would say bar none. And the same with this PSQ, a personal size. It's small, but the build quality on it is fantastic. And again, the materials play into that. But you do get what you pay for. And these cost a lot, but the build quality on them is fantastic. Also, Schuyler Bibles have a unique look to them. They look amazing. And when you look at the design of these, there's just something about them that's really well done. All the meticulous detail, even on the printing on the inside. Now, the Premier collections and Bibles like that have gone a long way in imitating a lot of what you see in the Schuyler, but still, there are things about it that are different. And I would say the Schuyler, not only do you have just a nice design to begin with, but you also have a ton of options. You can get Schuyler Bibles in so many different colors and so many different printing designs too. They're starting to come out with other designs, the Canterbury, the Traveris, whereas the Premier collections, you're a little more limited in the styles, the colors, and the overall design of the Bible. So Schuyler has more options too, with really high quality Bibles. So let's summarize everything that I've talked about here. And I just want to say that the Premier Collection Bibles from Nelson and Zondervan and now Holman, I would say these are really good quality Bibles, but they're not Schuyler. So a good way to think of this is, maybe to compare it to vehicles. And I'm not a car expert, but maybe thinking about a really good quality car or a car that people might aspire to have. So you might think of a Premier collection like a Charger, a car that's probably more expensive than the average car, but it is a unique car and it's well made and well designed and very appealing to people. And then Schuyler, and I could put Allen in the same category, by the way. Everything that I've said about Schuyler really does apply a lot to Allen and Cambridge as well. You think of a Corvette, and now you're going to spend even more money, but that's an iconic car. And the same with these Schuyler Allen Bibles. They're just on a unique level. And then, of course, there are cars that are like Lamborghinis, which not a lot of people have. Because they're so expensive. And well, really all the cars I'm mentioning are pretty expensive, so maybe this isn't the best comparison, but just kind of show you the levels I'm talking about. The Lamborghini would be like the Bibles that cost hundreds of dollars. I mean, we're talking about sometimes $300-400 because they're rare, or because they are rebound by a great rebinder like Post Tenebris Lux. And more recently, I've seen Bibles by Lion and Lamb, Dave Dalfino from Cherry Hill Bibles. I mean, these are just superb quality rebindings that are very unique. And I don't have one of those Bibles, but, those get to be really, really expensive. And, it really comes a question of what are you looking for and how are you going to use your Bible. And I know we all have different opinions. Some people think, $20 Bible, that's all they need, and that's totally fine. Others, they want something that's really going to last a long time, be able to pass on to their children and grandchildren. So that's where these higher end Bibles can be really good. But it is a question of, what are you actually going to use and carry around? And what do you find most useful? I have to say, one of the things I love about Nelson and Zondervan and Holman putting out premium Bibles is that they're great quality. They're going to last a long time, but they're not so expensive that you're afraid to use them. Schuyler, yeah, it's on another level. But you start to get into that level where people can be afraid to use them a lot or to bring them places because they don't want it to get messed up. So that's the only issue. If you start spending so much that it discourages you from actually using it a lot, that could be a problem. So in looking at these Bibles, I hope that I have shown that they're all really nice, and I don't ever want to come across as saying that the Bible from one company isn't a great Bible. I actually think they all have their purposes, and it's really adding so much and enhancing the Bible market. So I'm very grateful for what's being put out there by these different companies. But that was just a bit of an explanation and some commentary on the difference between Schuyler and Premier Collection Premium Bibles from companies like Zondervan, Nelson, and Holman. Thank you so much for taking a look at these Bibles with me from a Frisch perspective.